Joining me now is New Mexico Congresswoman Melanie Stansbury. She serves on the House Oversight Committee. Welcome back. It's good to see you, my friend. So we have lawmakers, some of them are using the example of former Prince Andrew to emphasize prominent figures in the U.S. are also not above the law. And you said, quote, if a prince can be held accountable, so can a president. Do you expect Andrew's arrest to move the needle toward accountability for others?
Well, I certainly hope so. I think the unprecedented arrest and investigation of the former Prince Andrew sets an example not only for the world, but especially for the United States, where we have a president that is not only refusing to act on the Epstein files, but engaged in a direct cover-up, and whose DOJ has refused to acknowledge the survivors, that has refused to investigate crimes, that has refused to actually bring indictments and prosecutions. And you can tell that the president is feeling the heat because, as we all know, when Donald Trump is under the gun, his recantments and his pushback are often an admission of guilt. And I think we've seen that the last few days.
You viewed the unredacted Epstein files and said that you will name names of rich and powerful figures up to and including presidents whose names you say were improperly redacted by the DOJ. What did you learn from reviewing the files? And will you put those names in the public record if the administration does not allow full transparency?
Absolutely. And I already have. And in fact, I think it's important to know that much of that is already in the public domain. Now, the administration is failing to comply with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. They've only released a small amount of what we think may be a massive amount of documentation and records. But even in the 3 million files that they dumped a few weeks ago, we see lists of names of prominent figures, including the president and other well-known actors in this space. We see FBI tip sheets, partial investigations, and a number of correspondence with Jeffrey Epstein, where the administration chose to redact names. Myself, Thomas Massie, Ro Khanna, and others have been putting names in the public domain. But it's important, we're not prosecutors. We are Congress. We are doing our oversight responsibilities. But it is the Department of Justice's job to investigate and prosecute these crimes. And I know a lot of people are angry and frustrated that the U.S. is not acting, but that is the Department of Justice's job. And that's why we have to continue to put pressure on them.
Well, this week, Leslie Wexner, the billionaire former CEO of Victoria's Secret, who helped Epstein build his wealth, testified before the Oversight Committee. Wexner denied having any personal relationship with Epstein or any knowledge of his crimes, despite being named repeatedly by survivors in the files. So take a listen to some of what he said.
I think the perspective that I have now, and I think what's really important for this group to understand, is that as I look back at it, I was conned by the world Olympic all-time con artist. And when you look at, I read in the news all the people he knew, royalty, kings, princes, and all that. An incredible con artist.
So do you trust his testimony? I mean, given the high bar to open a criminal investigation, is the Oversight Committee laying the groundwork perhaps for civil cases to be brought by survivors?
Well, I believe that Wexner actually perjured himself in that interview. He claimed in that interview that the Department of Justice and FBI had never contacted him. And in fact, just last night, I was going through files that are on the Department of Justice's website and found an internal DOJ memo in which prosecutors discussed extensively with the U.S. attorney their contacts with Wexner's attorneys. So he's lying. He is just straight up lying. He's not a credible witness. We know he had a direct relationship. We know that Jeffrey Epstein was managing over $1 billion in assets for him. And so we're going to continue to pursue justice. And it's also important to understand that Mr. Wexner is named as a co-conspirator by the U.S. Department of Justice in their investigations. So, yes, we are bringing forth the evidence so that there can be justice, whether that's through the criminal justice system or through civil lawsuits.
Speaking of justice, you say that your state is acting where the federal government has failed after New Mexico's House of Representatives approved a bipartisan Truth Commission to investigate allegations of criminal activity at the Zorro Ranch Epstein owned there. You say allegations of sexual abuse at the ranch existed for years, but were never fully investigated by the FBI or local authorities. What are some of those allegations, and why did the state wait until now to open a probe?
Yeah, well, I just want to start by saying I am so deeply proud to be a New Mexican and of the leaders in our state who are stepping up where the federal government has failed, including State House Representative Andrea Romero, who really led the charge on getting this Truth Commission passed. And I'm excited to announce that she will be my guest at the State of the Union this year, alongside Epstein survivors who are coming with House and Senate leadership. So we plan to spend the day at the State of the Union focused on the survivors and justice for the survivors. And I'm excited to have Romero accompany me. But the reason why they move forward with this Truth Commission is that Zorro Ranch is a sprawling ranch here in New Mexico. It's actually not far from where I live. And for many years, there were allegations of sexual assault. There are actual FBI investigations that were done into survivor claims. There are crimes that were never investigated. And with the action of the release and unsealing of documents through the Epstein Files Transparency Act, it's clear that DOJ at some point asked New Mexico's AG to drop its case, but then never followed up on those investigations. And so not only did we pass a Truth Commission to investigate those crimes, but our AG announced a couple of days ago that he will be opening a new case to investigate not just the sexual assault crimes that may have happened on that property, but a potential double homicide that was revealed in the unsealed files.
How does society grapple with the many wealthy and powerful who continued socializing or doing business with Epstein and just look the other way?
Well, I think that is really what is at the heart of this case. I think that what this case reveals is that for many years and many decades, we've had a two-tiered system of justice, well, since the beginning of this country's history, but that it favored the rich and powerful, and it didn't matter what party you belonged to, that you would be shielded from accountability, even from the grossest and most disgusting crimes. And the fact that people who were in positions of power and wealth not only continued to associate with Jeffrey Epstein, but look the other way even after his conviction and knowledge of these crimes came forward, show that there was not only a systemic cover-up and miscarriage of justice inside our institutions, but within the broader society itself. And I really genuinely believe that this is a reckoning moment, that this is beyond just Me Too 2.0, but this is really about how do we hold the rich and powerful accountable and ensure that this kind of exploitation of people can never happen again.
Representative Melanie Stansbury, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.